It's something that I've struggled with, so I want to meet other women so that we don't beat up on ourselves so much. And because when we do that, I think it affects everything that we do. And I really, in the position that I have, I really feel that I'm changing lives every day. But if I'm not the best version of me, then I don't think I can be the best for, the clients and the students and all the people that I work with. So that's really what I focus on. And I think by focusing on that, it just makes me a better person, a better coach, a better wife, a better overall individual.
Welcome to Jane Jackson Careers, a podcast that takes your career to the next level. Here's your host, Jane Jackson, author of Amazon Careers bestseller, Navigating Career Crossroads.
Welcome back to Your Career Podcast. Now, I'm really excited today. Well, actually, I'm always excited about my guests on Your Career Podcast. But honestly, today I have a LinkedIn superwoman. And yes, she even has a cape. And she's from Toronto, Ontario in Canada. Shelly Elsliger is an engaging LinkedIn trainer and president of Linked Express. She coaches executives, diverse leaders, aspiring women leaders, business students, and job seekers, as well as corporate teams, inspiring them to maximize their professional branding potential and their social influence on LinkedIn. Shelly is recognized as a woman you need to know by the National Women Speakers Association and a woman of achievement. She's made it to the list of globally recognized LinkedIn training experts. Her diverse experience allows her to bring a unique breadth of knowledge as well as an aspect of fun and passion to all her workshops and speaking engagements. LinkedIn in high heels, Rise Up and Lead Online is one of her favorite keynote speeches, and it's her signature workshop aimed at helping women business leaders successfully rise up, own their space, and find their voice online. Her motto is, instead of waiting to be noticed first, be a leader in your space. Lean in, listen in, and link in. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Jane.
Oh, you know what, Shelly, since we met on LinkedIn about 2 years ago, I've wanted to get to know you better. And just through all of your posts, and we support each other so much that it makes sense for us to have a podcast interview. And I can't wait to hear all about your career journey as well. So as you know, this podcast is all about career transition and supporting people through transition. So how about, to kick us off, let's find out about your early days and what you wanted to be when you were a little girl.
So what I wanted to be when I was a little girl was a veterinarian. That was in my early days, but I'm a big animal lover, so that has continued, but more as a hobby. And then I guess I went into teaching, but not so. I thought I would be a good teacher, but more. The reason I guess I got into teaching was more because all of my family was in teaching. My uncle was my principal. I had at least 3 aunts who were teachers and professors, and that's all I heard all the time. So I said, well, maybe then I just have to go into teaching, and I got into teaching. But I guess in 2010 I became a coach, and that changed my life. I think everybody should take coaching, but I became a coach, and at that point I realized that there was something missing, that even though I was a teacher and I was creating a lot of change, I really wanted to become a career coach. And I was already in career coaching by that time, but I wanted to take it to a new level. I wanted to do something where I could empower people. And I found my voice online. So it's kind of funny how I actually found my voice again online, and then that transferred on to offline. And I was able to use LinkedIn as a way to empower many different kinds of people and professionals. So that's a little bit of my background, and that's where I am today.
Yeah, and you are so visible on LinkedIn. It's amazing. I mean, both of us are LinkedIn trainers and we both love LinkedIn so much. But you've had such an interesting career journey because obviously I've been researching you, stalking you, Shelly. And in the early days, you were now with the teaching, that was a big part of your life, yes? And you were an English professor, and then you became a career advisor, author, and blogger. Now, I found this really interesting. A blogger for the Montreal Dog Blog. Now, you mentioned you're an animal lover, and I'm a crazy cat lady and animal lover as well. I've had cats and dogs and hamsters and fish and birds and all sorts of things in my life. And currently I've got 2 cats. In fact, one new one today I just told you about earlier. But tell me a little bit about this switch over from being an English professor into career advising, then becoming an author, and then blogging for the Montreal Dog Blog. And I really want to hear about that for a little while, because that sounds really, really fun, especially for all the animal lovers out there as well.
The Montreal Dog Blog was an amazing opportunity for me. Nat Lozo, this was her brainchild. She's actually, she works on the radio, and big animal lover too. And we had the chance to meet at several different dog events or pet events. I think we both like all animals. And she was telling me about this initiative that she was going to come up with. And I said, listen, if it happens, you have to make sure you don't forget about me. And she said, I wouldn't forget about you. And then all of a sudden it happened. Sponsors came along, and she was lucky enough to create this Montreal Dog Blog. And it was really about bringing community together and highlighting all of the good things that were happening in the city, and where people could go for resources. And there was a big push for, adopt, not shop. And I, with 2 rescues, and well, I've had 4 at one point. I know what it's like to have people who can support me and hope to have those resources around, because it's easy enough to find a breeder, but it's sometimes not easy enough to find a place where you can actually find a dog that's still a fit but a rescue at the same time. So we started the blog, and I was doing everything from, green, how to have a green and sustainable lifestyle with a dog, to anywhere from, having my showcasing my dog and I going out and picking up garbage along the way. And I really got into to that, and I usually blogged about once a month, or even more. I guess whenever I was inspired, I would sit down and write, and realize that was my way to give back to the dog community and to the pet parents, the fur baby parents, who I think are awesome.
Yes, I know. I'm one of the fur baby parents, and I have 2 rescue cats now, and I 100% agree. Rescue an animal rather than breed an animal, because there are so many out there who need so much love. And so I think that shows what a big heart you have as well, Shelly. And thanks for telling me about that, because when I saw that on your profile, I thought, I must find out about the Montreal Dog Blog. And I love it that you're actually into quite a lot of different things, and wellness, nutrition, well-being is also a very important part of your life, isn't it?
Yes, I've done quite a few workshops with other women, around body shaming and around, appreciating what you have, and really wellness overall. And, being a community of women with different body shapes and different possibilities for, wellness around you, whether it's going to the gym or whether it's going for a walk. So I tried to actually build community so the women in my group would not feel so alone. And so I got everybody together, and whether, we were doing all kinds of things, from walking to talking to just about sharing resources on what was going around in the city, and helping each other realize that we don't have to go to a gym if we don't want to go to a gym. There's other things that we can do. So we tried to kind of just come up with the idea that we don't have to be pushed into things and decide on things that don't necessarily fit our lifestyle, but to find things that we love to do.
I wish you weren't so far away in Toronto, because we could go power walking and get a group together here in Sydney as well. I mean, we're half a world away, but it really is so important. It sounds like that is a community group where you're really supporting women to appreciate themselves for who they are. Is that right?
Yes, and I mean, it's something that I've struggled with, so I want to meet other women so that we don't beat up on ourselves so much. And because when we do that, I think it affects everything that we do. And I really, in the position that I have, I really feel that I'm changing lives every day. But if I'm not the best version of me, then I don't think I can be the best for, the clients and the students and all the people that I work with. So that's really what I focus on. And I think by focusing on that, it just makes me a better person, a better coach, a better wife, a better overall individual.
You know what comes through when I look at your career journey as well, what comes through really strongly is you were very dedicated to a passion or a cause, and helping others is so important for you as well, and not just business people, but women in the community, animals in the community. And I really love that, because I also have a very helping desire just to make that little bit of a difference to somebody's life, so that you can really help them to excel. And this is what you do. Now, you are known, Shelly, as the LinkedIn Superwoman. And I happen to know that you also have a cape, because I've seen you posting pictures of the cape. And also there is an interesting story about a red shoe. So tell me about that LinkedIn Superwoman and the red shoe and how all of this came about.
I don't have my cape. I guess I could have worn it, but I do have the red shoe right here. And this is
beautiful. Yes, this is a patent leather red shoe that has great significance. Yes.
The red shoe I received when I was 13. So I guess it was my first national public speaking contest. And it was actually the first time I got a pair of high heels. So I was pretty excited because my mother said, what would you like to have? You want a new outfit, you want to, you're going to be going on stage. And it was the first time it was going to be held at my high school. So I said, yes, I need a red pair of shoes. And so that my mother got me these amazing red shoes. And I stepped onto the stage, and I was just about to, go into my speech, which was on empathy, actually. And it was called Stepping in Somebody Else's Shoes. And I was like 13. I had just turned 13. And I was just about to start my, speech on empathy. And my bully, yelled out something, something around, my weight. And I remember that I just stood still. I couldn't do anything. I just looked out into the audience and realized that I just forgot everything that I was going to say and actually didn't want to say anything. So I ran off the stage. And as I was running off the stage, my left shoe, kind of like they were a little bit big, and my left shoe kind of like slid from underneath me and it went wherever. And I just ran out with my red shoe in hand and went back to the classroom, which was in the back, dressed, ran out of the school, ran home, because I lived in a little village of 1,000 people, so you could get anywhere by foot. And I walked in the door and I said, I'll never speak again, and I'll never wear high heels again. So, but I'm a big believer in how we have to say yes to hardships. And it was a hardship, but every time I look at this shoe, it reminds me of how far I've come. And it reminds me that I can get through anything. And we are all going to have those times in our lives that are not so pleasant, but we can get through adversity, and we can actually use those moments, like that moment being on stage and never thinking I would speak again, actually led me to where I am today, doing all kinds of speaking engagements, especially LinkedIn and high heels for women business leaders. So I would never have found that, and I would never be making the difference I am making for women if I hadn't gone through that experience.
And I'm glad that you have this LinkedIn and high heels project or work that you do now, because, overcoming difficulties, this is what we all need to hear, these stories, because we all go through challenges as well. And, it's interesting when you're on the stage and you were saying how there was a bully who, there must be more of the story there as well, who shouted out something about your weight deliberately to hurt you, because words do hurt you. And remember, growing up, there was a little saying that we used to say in school, was that sticks and stones may break my bones, but words can never hurt me. But in actual fact, words can hurt you a lot, can't they?
Absolutely.
Yeah. What helped you to get over that difficult experience?
I just started to surround myself with some mentors and some people that were there to help me thrive and raise me up. One of my mentors is an Inuit elder. I call her she's my soul sister, but my life coach. And I see, she's a few years older than me, and but I see what she's gone through, and I see the impact that she's made in her community, and she's just there. She's really significant in my life because I guess she's the one who said, what are you waiting for? What are you have all of these passions and these desires, and what are you waiting for? And this happened, but let that be a sign to you that, it's not going to hold you back. It's going to move you forward. Mm. And so I think surrounding myself and finding, actively pursuing people that would help to rise me up, and so I can rise others up as well. But being in that kind of community of especially women, but even men, I have some men mentors as well, and just allowing myself to be open to suggestions and open to getting through that really tough barrier that you put up and breaking it down before you can actually move forward, because that can be a tough period. It can that barrier can be so tough we can't break it down, or we don't allow ourselves to be strong enough to break it down, or we break it down with all our might and we become stronger on the other side. Mm-hmm. And so I'm really blessed that it ended up being being the latter, and I was able to get through that. And now I look back at that experience, and I'm lucky because my bully has since apologized for those moments. Growing up is a good thing to do. So I'm really happy about that, but I would not do it any differently, because I know that we have to go through those times in order to appreciate and maybe even find ourselves. So I wouldn't change anything that happened.
Yeah. So certainly when you have those challenging times, it gives you those periods of growth as well, because either you're going to succumb to it or you're going to think, look, I've really got to do something about it. And it's very hard for us to do things on our own, and actually reaching out and finding a mentor and having the people who would be our advocates and supporters to say, yes, you can do it. You're better than you think you are, because as women, we all, and men as well, we all have that self-limiting belief, and it tends to hold us back, and that it sits on our shoulder and say, oh, you can't do that, or you're not good enough, or you don't have the experience, or you're too old, or you're too young, or you got brown hair, you got blonde hair. There's always something that we can find as an excuse that will hold us back. Yes, now you have overcome all of this to become terrifically successful, especially on this platform that I too love very much, LinkedIn. And so tell me about Linked Express, Shelly.
So Linked Express is really to educate people on how to build their story. So some people call it a profile. I haven't called it a profile for quite a while. It's really your career story, and to really make that the most important story you'll ever write, the story of you. So how can, I help people achieve that. And also not only, working with the story itself, but then how do we get that story recognized? How do people find our book in a lot of books? So how do we, it's all about like standing out and not fitting in. So I really make a conscious effort to educate people, and not only educate them on how to build their profiles, but also how to experience LinkedIn life, because lurkers are often lonely. And so I call them the lonely lurkers. And there are a lot of lurkers out there and not really benefiting from what LinkedIn has to offer. And so I just feel that I'm a champion who can get out there and actually and hopefully bring people to the other side. And when I am able to do that, it's the most amazing feeling, because then that gives people an additional tool to put in their toolbox. And so I'm always trying to build up toolboxes.
Yeah, I think the more tools that we have to be able to create the life that we deserve and hope for, and the career that we deserve and hope for as well, the better. And ever since LinkedIn has just grown exponentially, I mean, over 560 million members globally, and in Australia alone, it's 10 million. I don't know how many in Canada now, but you know, every second there are 2 people who sign up for LinkedIn. And being the lonely lurkers, I like that word. Okay, the LinkedIn lonely lurkers. that could be a club in itself, couldn't it? The people who just are on it but not leveraging it. It's such a shame, because it's a free platform. It's there. You can really brand yourself well, can't you? And it's such a joy when you see someone with a great profile. And you've got an amazing profile, Shelly. I really, really like it. The images that you have in your cover image are fantastic. The cape is there. Okay, so if anyone wants to find Shelly, have a look for the cape in her cover image. It's excellent. And so now, how does Linked Express help people? Specifically, what are your services that you offer?
So I tend to do more group coaching at the moment, because I am at the university as well. I work at the business school at University of Toronto, and I'm helping them not only with career development, but also helping them to advance in terms of their digital footprint. So I'm pretty busy there, but I do a lot of group and executive coaching, and a lot for women's groups, because I know in the consulting and banking world, there are a lot of strong women associations, and being able to go in and talk with them about leading online is really what I like to do. So I think Linked Express and LinkedIn in High Heels are meant to be kind of like a way to kind of advance people. And LinkedIn in High Heels mainly for women. Although I've had men sit in, because there are the men that want to support the women in their organization. So I've been pretty happy about that as well.
Oh, it's wonderful. And it must feel so rewarding for you. What is it that you enjoy the most about the work that you do?
Well, for LinkedIn and High Heels, I think my story with the red shoe really resonates with people, because whether it's, you know, that type of bullying or some other type of bullying or some other, type of adversity that we've had to come through, I think people resonate with my story. And so that makes me feel like I'm doing something by sharing my story, because it's not easy to share a story like that, because it brings me back to that time sometimes. But I know that going back to that time is important as well, because it keeps me aware of how far I've come. And even though I'm a forward thinker, I'm also very big on reflection, because it pushes me to become better and better and to go back and see my successes. So I think that that's really important. So when I get to speak in front of a group or do LinkedIn training, LinkedIn trainer, I like what it is, but I don't think it tells everything about what I do. So when I call myself a LinkedIn trainer, it's limited a little bit, because I'm actually, I feel I'm a LinkedIn champion. I'm an empowerment person. I'm this because I use LinkedIn as an empowerment tool. So every time you're filling in a section or you're building your story, or you're adding something, or you're doing your own background photo. It's something you're doing for yourself. And when I see people cross that LinkedIn barrier and actually feel like, wow, I'm connecting, and I've added something, and I've got this accomplishment, and I've done this and I've done that, and I now have a community, and I now have support. It fills my soul. Like my soul is like bursting.
Oh, it's so beautiful. And it's so true, because LinkedIn is all about connections. It's not about selling. It's about making connections. It's about networking authentically. And, there's just something that sometimes I feel that there are people on LinkedIn who just want to connect with lots and lots of people, and they don't personalize anything. And I think that's such a shame, because, when you go to an event and you shake hands with someone and you look them in the eye and say, hello, what a pleasure to meet you. And, tell me a little bit about yourself. And then you have a good chat and you get to know each other. That's really lovely. And then if you can continue to connect afterwards, that's great. But on LinkedIn, sometimes there are people who simply connect for the numbers, and the numbers are not what's important. It's the connection, the genuine connection, and getting to know someone that's important, isn't it?
Absolutely. I don't think that since 2010 I have sent out a connection request that has not been authentic. I really, or like customized or personalized. I'm a big believer in so there's a few things that I really hold very dear to my heart when it comes to LinkedIn. One, personalization and customization. Two, the art of reciprocity, because it is an art, but it's, I believe in the art of reciprocity offline, and I believe in the art of reciprocity online. And it's really funny at University of Toronto, but a few times I've been in a class with a professor who is a reciprocity he's a reciprocity guru, and he'll take the reciprocity offline and I'll do the reciprocity online. And I realized that if you don't start off building your relationships in the right way, it will never get to that point, or you will have to wait a while to build it. But if you start off by introducing, telling your why, and then, supporting the people that come your way, reciprocity will exist, and it will come without there even being much work involved.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. And actually, this is how we got to know each other in the first place. Reciprocity, which is so lovely. I've shared my book with you. You've been highlighting my career coaching abilities. You're so generous with your connection, and also generous with your support of other people as well. I mean, you truly are a LinkedIn superwoman, and I'm very, very lucky to have had you on the show. So now, Shelly, I could talk to you every day, honestly, and I could talk to you all day. And I hope that next time I visit Canada, I will get to go to Toronto and to actually meet you face to face and take this online connection offline, as we do with our LinkedIn Local Sydney events as well. And you're involved with LinkedIn Local in Canada as well, aren't you?
Yes, the LinkedIn Local and Toronto and Greater GTA is really popular. It's flying. In fact, I've spoken at probably about 6 of them already. So it's amazing what LinkedIn Locals do, and I'm constantly watching what's going on in Sydney and your LinkedIn Locals, and I'm like, oh, I would love to be there at one point.
Oh, but please come and visit us. It would be great.
And if you're ever in Toronto, there's definitely a place for you, and we'll have a LinkedIn latte, and hopefully there'll be a LinkedIn Local going on at the same time, because they're quite frequent, they're quite popular, and so many relationships have been able to, come offline for a bit, and that's been really, really nice.
Yeah, aren't we lucky? I mean, LinkedIn has just spawned an incredible community. Now, I just want to let people know where they can find you. Okay, so let me put on my glasses. And now, they can find you at Linked Express, yes? And you are also Linked Express, and you are also on Twitter, and it's Elsliger S.
Elsliger S,
Yes, and in my show notes at janejacksoncoach.com, I'm going to have a number of links where you can find Shelly as well, so that you can reach out and connect with her and find out all the amazing things that this lady with the red shoe can do. So thank you so much for your time today, Shelly. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I'll talk to you again in a few months. If you enjoyed this podcast, look for Your Career Podcast on iTunes and leave a review. And for all the career management support you need to create your dream career, visit janejacksoncoach.com and join my Careers Academy for live career webinars, group coaching, one-on-one coaching support, as well as my online career development courses. Isn't it time you found your dream job?
You've been listening to Jane Jackson Careers. Sign up to receive regular career advice at janejacksoncoach.com.